You are Locked On 76ers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This here is 76ers Postcast on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Appreciate you joining me. What a disappointing ending to this 76ers season. I know we have talked about second-round exits a number of times. We've only, in the Joel Embiid era, talked about a first-round exit once, and that was in the bubble. But the Sixers get bounced out, eliminated in the first round, 6 games, losing to the New York Knicks. Sixers trailed by as many as 22 points in the first quarter. They were able to come roaring back in the second quarter to make it a game. They also took a 10-point lead at one point, and then they blew it after that. Welcome in. This is Locked On Sports Philadelphia with the Locked On 76ers Postcast. This episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Game off. Just like the Sixers. We got to talk more about Monopoly Go, the fast-paced game that lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers, trading, all that stuff. Cool playing pieces and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. Download Monopoly Go right now for free on Google Play and the App Store. Game on Monopoly Go. 3 big things right out of the gate. 1, you can't go down 22 points. You can't. I don't care if it's the first quarter. I don't care if it's the fourth. You can't go down 22 points to the Knicks. I don't care if Buddy Hield just all of a sudden magically turns into Indiana Buddy Hield, dropping threes like it's nobody's business. Not playing great defense. But I don't care if he's just going to go off in a game. I don't care if Joel Embiid's going to go get 39 points. I don't care if Tyrese Maxey is going to shoot 6 for 18 from the floor for 17 points. Seven before he got to that fourth quarter. Mind-blowing. At no point in a playoff game, I don't care if it's in the first 30 seconds of the first quarter, can you go down 22 points to your opponent. Oh, there's plenty of time to make it up. Basketball is a game of runs. I don't care. That is ridiculous at no point, because then you're playing from behind. You're scrambling. Even if you go on some magical run, which they were able to do in that second quarter, that's still looming over your head because you're not going to get that hot again. Just like the Knicks didn't get that hot again in the first quarter, they just played a steady game throughout the entire game. After that, they hit cruise control. Yeah, sure, they hit some speed bumps along the way in that second quarter. I don't think they were expecting to get Buddy Hield 5 threes in the second quarter. And I was watching it, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm going, oh, this is great. Great to see this Buddy Hield. Wait till Tyrese Maxey gets going. And unfortunately, Tyrese Maxey's version of getting it going didn't really hit the gear that it hit in the Game 5 performance that we saw, especially in the fourth quarter. Again, fourth quarter's fine. 10 points. Good job by Tyrese Maxey. But I was waiting for that hit overdrive where he's going to end up with 25, 30 points as opposed to 17. Not Buddy Hield. Who had Buddy Hield outscoring Tyrese? Who had Buddy Hield as the Sixers' second leading scorer after Joel Embiid? Who had that on the bingo card? Who had Buddy Hield outscoring Tyrese Maxey? I didn't have that on the card. Bottom line is you can't start out like that in a playoff game. So I tell you all that to tell you this. The Sixers down 22. They came back. They led by 10 in that second quarter. Great. Now you got to get somebody else hot because Buddy Hield ain't going to hit 5 threes in the second half. Whenever I watch a basketball game, and yes, I do acknowledge the whole idea of a game of runs and all that stuff, but when you're watching it and you see one guy really go off that doesn't really normally go off for you, and you're watching that happen and the way it happened in that second quarter with all of a sudden Buddy Hield and some magic wand was waved, whatever, and he just knocks out 5 threes? Okay, great. You were going to depend on that again in the second half? Because you knew Jalen Brunson, you knew Dante DiVincenzo, and you know the offensive boards was going to be a huge thing again in the second half, which it was. So bottom line, you can't start out a game down 22 points to the Knicks. You can't be outscored 28-9 before the second break of the first quarter. Joel Embiid had all 9 of the Sixers' points, and the Knicks had 28. That's not how you start off a playoff game. And I look at the head coach with Nick Nurse. You mean to tell me the number one thing we talk about this in football, we talk about this. Football and basketball are the 2 sports that we bring this up. Hockey, we talk about it a little bit too. But you got to have your team ready to play. That Sixers team was not ready to play in that first quarter. which is just bananas to me. A game 6 at home. Your ownership group is just giving tickets away to make sure that the New York Knicks fans aren't invading the Wells Fargo Center again, which they a little bit did. But you're trying to, get off on the right foot, and no one else can score. Tyrese Maxey had a layup at the point that Joel Embiid got taken out of the game in the first quarter, about the 4-minute mark in the first quarter, and Tyrese Maxey drops in a layup. And it was like, oh, wow, look, other people can score. No way, this is amazing. You can't start off the game like that. That's point number one. the 3 big things, that's very long, drawn-out point number 1 for 3 big things. After that, Tyrese Maxey, we all love Tyrese Maxey. We all would love to see Tyrese Maxey get more foul calls. That is no question. Tyrese Maxey can't have the start to the game that he had today. Tyrese Maxey can't have the first 3 quarters of basketball in a win-or-go-home game that he had today. When we talk about superstar status, we talk about guys that don't go away, and especially in the biggest moments, they rise to the occasion. He did that in the 4th quarter of Game 5 better than anybody, dropping in 17 points in that performance. That was incredible. What I was hoping for was that you would go into that 3rd quarter, and you would come out of that 3rd quarter and go, all right, you know what? Maxey's going to have a great run. He's not had a great run for 3 quarters of basketball, but now he's really going to hit it in the high gear. Now is the time with Joel Embiid in foul trouble, with Tobias Harris getting you nothing, Kyle Lowry getting you nothing. Kyle Lowry and Tobias Harris combined tonight for 0 points. 0 plus 0 is 0. Little math lesson for you. 0 points for those 2 tonight, okay? So I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, Tyrese Maxey in the 4th quarter. He's got another great run on him. He's got to have another great run on him because you're not going to Joel Embiid foul trouble. That's going to be bad. The bench is great. Seeing Nico Batum hit shots and Buddy Hield, all that's great. But this is a time, 4th quarter, you got to 10 points. You needed about 10 more from him in that 4th quarter. Joel Embiid was fine, other than fouling out late. Buddy Hield got you a big shot, but that was about it. Kelly Oubre started to go up for you a little bit, but you needed Tyrese Maxey to beat your guy. And Tyrese Maxey, not that guy tonight. 6 of 18 from the floor, 1 of 6 from beyond the arc is a killer. I know your bench was incredible in this game in terms of what they were able to do from the 3. From 3, they got you 11 threes off the bench tonight, which is just bonkers. But Tyrese Maxey being 1 for 6 from beyond the arc is not good. Your bench can be great, but the guys that's going to be logging the minutes, your number 1 and number 2 stars. It's Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. You need those guys to perform. You didn't get that from Tyrese Maxey tonight for 3 quarters. 4th quarter, he absolutely did step up his game. He got a couple of foul calls there, which was amazing. He got to the basket. He got the goaltending call for the N1 situation late to tie things up at 111, and that's great. But Tyrese Maxey's overall performance tonight was disappointing. It was very disappointing. 4th quarter, you can talk about the 10 points all you want, but they needed a steady dose of Tyrese Maxey throughout the game. And if you weren't going to get the steady dose of Tyrese Maxey throughout the game, then you can't go into the 4th quarter and just get 10 points. That's got to be a game where you absolutely go off and at least get the 17 that you got in Game 5. And that wasn't waiting in the wings tonight for Tyrese Maxey, unfortunately. Number 3. Oh, my goodness gracious. What the hell happened? Total defensive breakdown for your 76ers at the 25-second mark. Tyrese Maxey goes down the other end of the court. He gets the N1 with the goaltending. You're all tied up at 111. Things are looking all right with the world. Things are looking good. Maybe you get some momentum here. The worst thing that can happen for the Sixers is the Knicks hit a 3. The best thing that could happen for the Knicks is the Knicks hit a 3. The worst thing that could happen for the Sixers is a defensive breakdown where they leave anybody from the Knicks really wide open at the top of the key for a go-ahead 3-point shot to go up 114 to 111 with 25 seconds left in the game. And Joel Embiid, did I mention it yet? Already in foul trouble. The worst possible thing that could happen is that the Knicks call that timeout, and out of the timeout, they have the perfect thing drawn up, and they're going to knock down a 3 to go up 114 to 111 with 25 seconds left. The worst possible thing that could happen is that. And that's the exact thing that happened. The Sixers have a complete meltdown defensively. The Knicks weren't doing anything fancy. There was a little screen. There was a little roll. There was a little switch that needed to be called between Nico Batum and Kelly Oubre. They start following, I think it was Jalen Brunson, away from the top of the key. You leave you leave Josh Hart open at the top of the key. Batum and Oubre go with Brunson, following him around the perimeter. And I'm looking at the top of the key going like, oh, no. There's no switch. I'm yelling it from my sofa, hoping it could get to the Wells Fargo Center so that they switch defensively. A little communication. And what ends up happening? Josh Hart like, bang, 3. Wide open. All day to shoot. Tyrese Maxey gets stuck between a rock and a hard place because of the lack of communication between Kelly Oubre and Nico Batum. I think what ended up happening was Batum thought Oubre was going to rotate back up, which quite frankly should happen because I don't want Nico Batum on Josh Hart at the top of the key there. I'd rather have Kelly Oubre over that way. And Batum able to maybe force Jalen Brunson maybe back out where another switch can happen. But it's just defensive breakdown. There was like no right answer, unfortunately, other than communication. So at least somebody's on Josh Hart. So Tyrese Maxey gets caught in a rock and a hard place at that 25-second mark where he's got Donte DiVincenzo on the foul line extended on the perimeter, three-point land, and Josh Hart wide open at the top of the key. What are you going to do? Maxey makes a move over to his right to try to get to Josh Hart and then stops, thinking then he's just going to pass the ball to Donte DiVincenzo, which he was going to do. But Josh Hart sees nobody on him. Again, has a sip of tea. He reads the Inquirer. He strolls through Villanova's Instagram account, see what's up with them, and then he knocks down the 3, and that was pretty much all she wrote after that. From that point on, it was just the Knicks taking control. Sixers did what they could, but it was too little too late from that point on. I'm not going to be able, for a long time, I'm not going to be able to get over the fact, even though the Sixers came back in that second quarter. The Sixers, in that second quarter, came back. Okay, so they lost the first quarter in total, 36-22. They came back in the second quarter to win that quarter, 32-15. That's pretty damn good. But still, you're making up for how bad you were in the first quarter. You play even halfway decent in the first quarter, and you're talking about winning this basketball game. That's what you're talking about. Oh, but it was a great run. They came back. Yeah, they did because they had to even make it a game. Beyond frustrating. Brunson had 14 of his 41 points in that fourth quarter. I will not be able to. And the other thing that I'll relive, the 22-point deficit in the first quarter. And then after that, you know what's going to ring in my head the most after this? The thing that's going to ring in my head the most is that Buddy Hield had 20 points for you. Buddy Hield hit 6 threes for you in this game, and you're going to lose that game? You get that kind of help from Buddy Hield? Did you hear during the broadcast tonight, if you watch the local broadcast, NBC Sports Philadelphia, if you watch the local broadcast, Kate Scott in the second quarter goes, Buddy Hield checks into the game. Let's see what he could do. Turnover right away. She said, he checks into the game. Let's see what he could do here. And before she could pronounce the last E in here, turnover, Buddy Hield. That was and on point, cool. And then he just knocked down 5 threes. And I was like, okay, maybe Buddy Hield can hang out for a minute. All right, let's see what Buddy Hield's got. And then he just hit 1 in the second half, and that was that. But like I said, you get that kind of performance in the first half. You cross your fingers, you're going to get it again in the second half. You weren't going to get 10 threes from Buddy Hield in this game, as much as I'd love to think that. It wasn't going to happen. But Buddy Hield came out with 20 points in 21 minutes logged. Nico Batum, 16 points in 27 minutes. But just a crucial defensive switch or non-defensive switch, I should say, and an awful start to the game is what ended up costing the 76ers. We'll get some of your comments in here in a second. When we come back, I do want to break down one more player tonight that I thought had a decent start to the game and unfortunately went by the wayside late. We'll be back right here on Locked On Sports Philadelphia on this Locked On 76ers postcast. You guys have heard me talking a lot about the Game Time app. Game Time is authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting to the playoffs even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down closer to tip-off as well. So make sure you're taking advantage of all they have to offer at the Game Time app. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices. View the seats before you buy them, and the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Last-minute ticket deals, flash ticket deals, zone deals, and this is my favorite thing. I mentioned the guaranteed lowest price. Two of my favorite things about the Game Time app. One, best and most efficient way you could buy tickets nowadays. The most trustworthy, also, way you could buy tickets nowadays. And the guaranteed lowest price. Now, what's the guaranteed lowest price? If you find tickets in the same section and row for less money elsewhere, Game Time will get you back at 110% of the difference. They'll credit your account 110% of the difference. That's the lowest price guarantee. That's the Game Time guarantee. Game Time ticket coverage as well. You purchase your ticket, it's covered. Most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take advantage of all they have to offer. And once again, take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You see it at the bottom of the screen right there. LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Before I go any further, let's get into some chat here. Crazy. What's going on, Crazy? No more Tobias. Last game of Tobias Harris is a Sixer, so we can celebrate that. Daz Payne. I feel your pain, Daz. Thanks, Tobias Harris. Hope the Sixers bring you back with another max deal. You're a very important figure in Philly. Need him around Maxey. Gee, thanks, Chuck. Are you a Knicks fan? Masquerading as an Eagles fan? We don't appreciate that. No. We don't appreciate that. Daz, if we actually played disciplined basketball with less turnovers and actually got offensive rebounds, we'd be a good team. Daz, I concur with that statement. What did it end up being? I didn't even get a chance to look at it yet. But in terms of rebounds tonight for the Sixers and the Knicks, it ended up being, holy Stromboli, especially in that second half, it was pretty terrible. But offensive rebounds, 20-16 in favor of the Knicks. Rebounds overall, Knicks only out-rebounded the Sixers by 2. But it feels like the Knicks get those timely second-chance points. And we'll go through the game coming up in a second, but absolutely bonkers. Sixers only had 12 turnovers compared to the Knicks' 9. 22 points off turnovers for 17 in favor of the Knicks. Foul calls were separated by 5. Sixers got called for 5 more fouls than the Knicks. Points in the paint, 42-34 in favor of the Knicks. Fast break points, 13-10. Really, I mean, they showed the stats throughout the game, too, how close this series was statistically speaking. And look, you just watch the games and realize how close these games are. We're talking about an overtime game, talking about a 3-point game to decide the series in Game 6. It was a really close series. But what I wanted to get into, as I teased before the break, was Tobias Harris. Because to see Tobias Harris go out there in Game 5 and actually get you 19 points, actually get you some rebounds, and then to see the way he started off tonight, where he wasn't getting buckets or anything. I mean, obviously he didn't. He had 0 points. But to see him come out, I think it was in that first half, he had 3 really good looks. Two set up Buddy Hield threes. He had 2 of the assists on those Buddy Hield threes. I thought, okay, well, you get some assists from Tobias Harris, get some good defense from Tobias Harris, and the shot starts falling later. The thing I noticed with Tobias Harris, though, throughout his career in Philadelphia is if Tobias Harris doesn't start out hot, he doesn't get hot. Like Tobias Harris, similar, and Game 5 is a perfect example of that. Game 5, he comes out and he gets 7 points in the first quarter. And like, oh, Tobias Harris has got something going. And then, he might get 5 in the second quarter. He might hit a big 3 in the third. And then he'll get 5 or 6 more in the fourth quarter. Like, it'll be a steady, like, hey, I'm here to help type of thing from Tobias Harris. You got nothing from him. Yeah, the 3 assists, I think they all came in the first half. And then nothing from him the rest of the way. In total, Tobias Harris's line on the night was god-awful. Especially if you're a big believer in the old plus-minus, was not good. When you look at Tobias Harris's overall numbers on the night, he was a -10. 4 rebounds, 3 assists that I mentioned. -10. No fouls, no turnovers, no blocks, no steals, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. All of them were defensive. -10 on the night from Tobias Harris. Don't let the door hit you in the arse on your way out of Philadelphia, Tobias Harris. If Tobias Harris needed a send-off game, this is a pretty good send-off game for Tobias Harris. Just making everybody feel the way they felt about him was completely justified. Over the last 5 years, we've been watching him play in a 76ers uniform under that contract in particular. As if they get a bad taste in your mouth already with the fact that Jimmy Butler's not here. Instead, you got Tobias Harris. Cool. We're all having fun. Also, Kyle Lowry, a guy that has all that playoff experience, it did nothing for you. 13 minutes in tonight's game with, again, 0 points. -9 on the evening. You see at the bottom of the screen right there, I have, what now? If you're the 76ers. I'll give you two things. I'll give you one right now. I'll give you the next one after the break. But with the 76ers right now, what their priority in the offseason has to be. We're going to need another scorer. It's going to have to be Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and somebody else. I don't know if that somebody else is on the roster right now. But what I definitely know is that somebody that is the backup center to Joel Embiid has to be signed. We all love Paul Reed. I love Paul Reed. Paul Reed's great. What a story, right? I think I said this after Game 5, but the fact that I long for Andre Drummond, the Andre Drummond you had 2 years ago, the fact that I long for a center that can come off the bench and get you significant rebounds, I long for that. That's sad. But I long for it because at least you knew you had a guy who's come in and play legit minutes for you and get your rebounds as a backup center. Paul Reed, nothing. Not getting anything. Not good. And the minutes that he wasn't, the minutes that Joel Embiid wasn't on the court were just a complete disaster. And it was a common theme throughout the series. As far as Joel Embiid goes and just his overall performance in the series. So the number one thing is looking at this, the backup center position and what the Sixers can do there. And then after that, Joel Embiid himself, my number one takeaway from the first half, despite the fact that the Sixers fought back at the end of the first quarter, but okay, they fought back great. But my number one takeaway was Joel Embiid looks like he has his legs under him. And that made me feel great about what the rest of the game was going to look like. The fact that he came out, he was firing, he had the 9 points, and yes, it was the only 9 points of the game before the 4:01 break where he was taken out of the game and then put back in with 11 seconds left. I like that Nick Nurse gave him that break. I thought Nick Nurse was going to work those kinds of rests and spurts for Joel Embiid, similar to the way he did when he originally came back from the meniscus tear earlier in the season, right before the end of the year. Nick Nurse really managed his minutes. And I said at the time, I don't mind Nick Nurse running Joel Embiid the way he's running him in terms of, even if he was 100% healthy, I like the idea, hey, go out there and you play, 8 minutes, and then you'll sit for a couple, and you'll come back and close it out. Then you'll start the second quarter, and then we'll sit you for a little bit, bring you back at the end of the second quarter, start the third, and kind of repeat that process. And I thought, that's a pretty good process. I like that process. I thought Nick Nurse was going to do that tonight to help manage the workload of Joel Embiid, not to give him extended rest, because he certainly didn't do that in the second half either, but just to kind of give him a break. He ended up not doing that. He ended up playing him a hell of a lot more in that second half. Which, look, in a Game 6 elimination game at home, yeah, you kind of going to need your best player playing. So I like the break in the first half, and I understand why he didn't stick to it in the second half. That's fine. But overall, they got to do something when he's not in the game because it was just a complete and utter disaster when he wasn't in the game. Paul Reed, when he was in tonight, by the way, -1. But he only played 8 minutes. Not great. Not great. Plus, when you do have a center that is on as many minutes as Joel Embiid, when he's on one leg, when he's dealing with Bell's palsy, and he's logging 40 minutes, yeah, that's a lot of work for him. That's a lot of work. So the Sixers got to do something to help him out. Wait, what? Tobias Harris woke up. This is from the chat. Jeff, what's up? Tobias Harris woke up and chose violence. Yeah, I guess. I almost wish he did. Ooh, Jeff, if you tell me Zach LaVine is the Sixer tomorrow, I am doing a cartwheel. Love it. Legit backup center, says Daz, and a true power forward, just rebounds. I'm all for that too. Bring both those on down the lane. Please. Would love both those right now. Please and thank you. with a sugar and cherry on top and all that. All right, we come back. We'll explore the question that will be the biggest question of the offseason, and we'll kick it around in a few when we come back here on Locked On 76ers Postcast. Monopoly Go! Are you having fun yet on Monopoly Go? I know I have fun on Monopoly Go. You need to have fun on Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go, I admit it. I do have that competitive side, a lot more than the Sixers did in that first quarter. I thank you. If you're not a big fan of Monopoly, what are we doing? Come on. It's un-American. All right? You got to love Monopoly. Monopoly is a great game. Monopoly Go, the mobile twist on the classic Monopoly game. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play Store. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with your friends or, have timed tournaments with them. You can work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together also, the more awesome prizes that you unlock on Monopoly Go. And there's so much that you can get. Unique stickers that you could trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends when you smash their boards or heist their vaults. Yeah, that's right. You could do that too. Have some fun with that. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges, a ton to include with their unique mini games like digging for treasure. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent. Frenzies, excuse me. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now for free on the Google Play or App Store. Game on for Monopoly Go. So this is going to be a question in the offseason. At the end of last year, when the Sixers got eliminated by the Celtics in the second round of Game 7, I said I'm not pushing Joel Embiid out the door, but I'm taking calls. I'm still not pushing Joel Embiid out the door, but I'm still taking calls. It really hasn't changed. And you think about it, another year older. This time next year, he'll be 31. The knee isn't going to get better. The knees aren't going to get better. The injuries aren't going to become less of a concern. So if the Sixers made a deal, and this is way before the cart before the horse, but this is our last 76ers postcast, so I got to tell you now. I'm not pushing Joel Embiid out the door, but if you get the right deal, how do you not make it? I know Tyrese Maxey came up small in this game, in Game 6, after coming up huge in Game 5, but Tyrese Maxey is on the upswing of his career. Joel Embiid right now is at the apex, at the end of that apex, I really believe. And if you're going to lose one great year of another MVP type play from Joel Embiid, and then after that, it's going to be just downhill. Like he said the other day, he wants to play for 8 more years. How many of those years are really going to be productive? How many more of those years are really going to be MVP caliber years from Joel Embiid? 1, maybe 2. So if you're going to be willing to trade that, and know you're still going to need a hell of a lot more pieces on the 76ers around him and Tyrese Maxey to win, then it's going to be a rough road. So do you not necessarily blow it all up? Do you force Embiid out? Are you pushing Embiid out is my question. I'm not pushing him out, but I'm taking calls, which means I can totally understand the Sixers trading him this offseason and then put this as Tyrese Maxey's team. But one thing that I just will not do, and I saw that this question came up. Whose team is it? Is it Maxey's team or is it Embiid's team, right? To answer the question, this is still Embiid's team. The more pertinent question, I believe, in basketball is who gets the last shot. And that, to me, is Tyrese Maxey tenfold. Tyrese Maxey can create that shot. He can get open quicker and all that stuff. If you need it, like 2 seconds left on the clock, it goes to Tyrese Maxey. If you got time to work it, then yeah, maybe you give it to Embiid and he maybe gets the end one. I don't know. But in terms of the last shot situation, that's Tyrese Maxey's ball. You can coexist as stars on a team. Every team that wins has stars that coexist. Look at this team. Like, obviously, Brunson's the clear-cut number one, but Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. Hell, McBride was taking time stepping up in this series. So they share the ball well. I think Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey can grow into a far more competitive team than what we saw this year. And you're talking about a team that during the regular season, probably with the way things broke down for the Bucks, at worst, the Sixers would have been a 3 seed if Joel Embiid was, didn't miss 2 months of the season. But ifs and buts were cherries and nuts, blah, blah, blah. Something figure than that. But somebody understands that. Then it's going to be a little bit of a different outcome there. So it's not great. If this and that, there's a lot of ifs and that's with the 76ers, unfortunately. Too many in recent years. So to answer the question about Joel Embiid getting traded, I don't think he does get traded. I right now don't want him to be traded. But if the right offer comes, if that Rudy Gobert haul comes, and the Sixers, the other part of it too, is that the Sixers got to get a player now. It can't just be picks. They got to get a player that can play now and help this team win. That's where I am at heading into this offseason. Disappointed as I am right now, I got to start thinking about the future already. And it's unfortunate because, and this is why I have a soft spot in my heart for all Sixers fans. Sixers fans, unlike anything else, invested all this time, invested 3 years, dedicated to just complete trash, losing, stockpiling assets and draft picks. And the Sixers fans stuck with it. And they said, you know what? Yeah, well, you're not going to win a championship with Andre Iguodala as your number one guy, And they said, all right, break it down to build it up. Burn it to the ground. And boy, did they. And they stuck it out. And then through the Colangelos, through the 5 seconds of Brett Brown being a manager, being the GM, where they traded McCall Bridges away for Zaire Smith. Good God. And then the Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris acquisitions under Elton Brand, the extension of Tobias Harris and the trading of Jimmy Butler. And then Daryl Morey comes in. It's crazy, man. It's crazy to think about it already being at the end. Might not be yet. Embiid could still be back for another season with the Sixers. But man, oh man. To think of the possibility after this season of him being traded and the Sixers, in a way, starting over again. Because you lose an MVP, it's not like you're going to get right back in the race and you're going to be now. It's not going to make you more of a contender for being an Eastern Conference finalist, So it's standing on the edge of the abyss right now. My prediction as we go into this offseason now for the Sixers is Joel Embiid is back, but I do think the Sixers are going to get calls on trading the big man. Hey, thanks for watching. This was a lot of fun doing these postcasts with you for the 76ers, especially after Joel Embiid came back and we started things up here with Locked On Sports Philadelphia. I hope you guys will still join me for Locked On Sports Philadelphia's presentation of Philadelphia Phillies postcasts here on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys joining me. It really has been a lot of fun starting out doing the 76ers postcast with you. I look forward to hopefully doing more with you guys next year as well when it comes to the 76ers. Until then, you guys can catch me. I will be off this weekend, so I won't be doing Phillies postcasts, but I will be back Monday night for that series finale, for the 4-game series finale against the San Francisco Giants. I will be here doing the Philadelphia Phillies postcast. So don't miss that on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, smash that like button, and subscribe to Locked On Sports Philadelphia, where I'll continue to break it down from a baseball perspective over the course of baseball season. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. It's been a blast. Until next year, let's go Sixers.